went back up there to really look at it, and
Street salvage, because the pictures, that one video in '95 or '93, they cleaned Chico up, or
right.
So, right. Is that the equipment you're talking about?
I was there in '84, and I mean, it was a sight to see.
Just garbage.
And from the photographs that I shot, I mean, it was just
trash.
Well, I've just been sitting up there. So can you imagine for nearly 20 years, okay, 19, 18 years, it just been sitting there where it was cut out and left on the surface. So all the years, the rust and the,
Doors open.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Doors open. But I mean, they had the big cranes there. I still remember the cranes at Datum. The ones they used, drag lines. That was it.
Why does Batum look so good and Chico does not look very good?
Well, I think Barry went in there and did a lot of work. Don't kid yourself. I mean, number one is the antenna doors were open at Batum, and then they were closed. The other thing, especially with Batum, that most people do not recognize, if you go back to the Siloworld present-day photographs, those were taken when my grandparents were still alive and in Moses Lake. And I was staying with them, and I would go out there, of course, with the promise that I wouldn't go down. And so you'll see all these different shots. Well, you'll notice all of the white stuff on the ground. Okay? Looks like snow. No. Those photographs were taken in the summer. That was the ash from Mount St. Helens when she blew.
What year was that, 90?
Well, St. Helens
80.
Blew in May of 1980.
Yeah.
So all that you see that looks like snow is not snow. That's the ash. And so I remember Fred Epler and Fred didn't know that. He said, Gary, where did you get it? I said, shit, Fred, that's the ash from St. Helens. And it was like, oh. And see, you could see that the access, the personnel entry, we called it the coffin door.
Right.
Next to the access portal. It was up and locked. And you could go down that way. In fact, later I would go down that way. I'd have a second person like my cousin. You'll see some of those. She's in the pictures.
Yeah. I've seen
Patty, and she was. I just get such a kick out of that. I had to have somebody to go, right? So it was interesting, is because my grandmother was at my aunt's, her mother's house that was in Western Washington. And my grandfather at the same time was in the hospital in Spokane.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm staying at their house. And my cousin is there, right? And so I'm telling my cousin, hey, Patty, you got to come with me, baby. You got to come with me, right? It's the only way, because I promised I can't go in there. So I'm going to keep my promise to my grandparents. So anyway, I get her to go down there, right? And that's why you see that face on her. I mean, it was spooky as hell. But it was just, it was fun. And so we were going into the launchers. And I mean, those are fully intact launchers and naturally dry.
Yeah.
And for years, here's a real funny one. Well, it's really sad. I shouldn't say it's funny. But I had for years always said, if you wanted to dispose of a body, throw them down the bottom of a missile base, right? Well, lo and behold, my aunt sent me the article out of the local newspaper there that's exactly what had occurred. That one of the folks there in town, I guess at some point, killed his wife and threw her in the bottom of the silo.
Of a Titan one?
Well, and one of those sites, one of those launchers, kids were down there exploring, came across the body. And the old man, the person that did it never left town, right? He just thought he was home free. Hey, I guess she just didn't like me, so my wife left. It's one of those moves. And, the kids find the body.
It's creepy enough to explore Titan 1 site in the dark with a flashlight, but then you find a body.
Yeah, and you come across a body. Oh, yeah, man. Wake you up, huh? And I mean, and all those launchers are there. I mean, Fred Epler and I used to have long discussions. In fact, in the old days, oh my God, I miss him. Yeah, he would call me every Sunday night. Was one of his nights off because he was an A&P mechanic, and he would work with his brother. They had a contract with the Postal Service and for the airplanes flying out the express mail. And God, for some reason, I mean, it was every Sunday night. Fred would call me, and by God, we'd be on the phone like till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Yeah, and it would just be one of those that were just trying to catch up on all of the different things, and it reminded me of, you remember when we had the discussion about OSTF-1 and OSTF-2 and the difference between the weapon systems of Titan 1, Atlas E, and Atlas F? Well,
yes.
I, for the life of me, couldn't get that in my head. And it was Fred Epler who really just beat it into my damn head on how it all worked, because I would constantly get it screwed up. And, and then finally I really learned it. And that's why I said it the way I said it to you, is because each different weapon system always had an OSTF.
Right.
And where the mistake was made is you immediately assume it's an operational silo test facility. Well, that wasn't true, because for the Fs or for the Es, there was no silo. Therefore, the OSTF side of it went on to become the operational suitability test facility.
Right.
So you see what I'm getting at? And then, I mean, of course, bless the Air Force's heart in their infinite wisdom. Look at how many times they changed the numbering system.
That's right.
I mean, Fred and I would often laugh at that, Bryce, from the standpoint of, oh my God, it's like in 1961 in July. I mean, and they did this they did it for all first generation, even the Titan 1s. The original Titan 1s was 824 and 825. Not 724, not 725. So, I mean, all of the numbers changed. And then what started out as the 549 then reverted back to, what was it, the 564th? No, 565th? I mean, it was nutty how it all changed.
Well, look at look at 395A. There's 3 silos. It's not a conventional underground LCC. The antenna silos are not conventional to what that was.
It was all, but I mean, to me, I'm not sure of the logic. And why I say this to you, look at the Vandenberg numbers for 395 Alpha versus 395 Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. Okay?
We had Titan 1 and 2.
395 Alpha was a Titan 1.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And yet 395 Charlie is Titan 2.
It's
There's
interesting.
only one launcher. But see, it went by the squadron. It was under the command of. Okay. And I see, because the 579, or excuse me, the 576, Vandenberg was a whole different animal.
Atlas.
And yeah, because you had them all there, right? And I mean, and even though I forget what the wing was, the 4. I don't know. I thought Lowry's was the 451st, but I'd have to go back and look. I mean, and because what we learned to do, if we took the 6 at Lowry, you'd either say 4A, 4B, or 4C. The 4 was the 724th, right?
Right.
And 5A, 5B, and 5C was the 725th.
Right.
Strategic Missile Squadron, right? A, B, and C. And that's just, and it would be more or less slang that we would use that way. Whether or not, You know, it was something different, but at least Titan 1 was never. Then on top of it, if you look at the F series, you know,